What's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Emma and I love to talk about all things Peloton cycling and fitness. So be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. I post every single Sunday, and today's video I'm so excited for. It's going to be a real fun one. As you can tell, I'm not in New York. I'm in San Francisco for a work trip. And you know what that means? It means there is a Peloton in my hotel. I accidentally booked a hotel with a Peloton a year ago on a work trip, and I'm like, wow, this is actually amazing. I love riding the Peloton, but I don't have one in New York. So it's just like a fun little treat. And I feel like the timings just aligned perfectly because the All for One classes came out super recently, and there's so many on the bike that I want to take. So this video is just going to be me taking the All for One classes that sound interesting to me and giving my opinion. I have seen some grumblings on the internet that people thought the lineup wasn't that good. I think the lineup was really good, but we just must have different music tastes. I'm very excited. So today I'm going to be trying to do two classes. The first one I'm going to do is a 30-minute Coldplay ride by my favorite, Ben Aldis, from September 26th, 2024. I'm very excited for this. I love Ben. I feel like he does usually a good job of having fun, rocking out, but also still doing a workout. And I love Coldplay, so I'm really excited. I think this should just be great all around. And then after Ben's class, I'm going to do a 30-minute Black Eyed Peas ride with Cody Rigsby from September 27th, 2024. I will say I did do the 30-minute Black Eyed Peas run with Hannah Frankson, and it was absolutely amazing. So Cody has a lot to live up to. I do think he can live up to it. But I also feel like Cody, is definitely more music, vibes, fun first. So it should be a good second class because 60 minutes of riding is definitely ambitious. I learned that when I did the live Matt Wilper's class for 75 minutes. I'm like, wow, I don't cycle indoors that much. I just feel like riding the Peloton is really different than outdoor riding because you're always on the Peloton. But I think I can do it today, and I think it should be a fun time. I also love the Black Eyed Peas, so, the music is going to be top tier today. And then I just have a 5-minute cooldown ride by Bradley Rose from September 10th, 2024, and a 5-minute post-ride stretch by Hannah Frankson from October 1st, 2024. So that is the agenda today. Let's go to the gym and hope that the one Peloton is not taken. I really enjoyed both of those rides. I mean, the music was just top tier. I'll review them in the order I did them. So Ben Aldis's was a good ride. I also think it was the ride to do first, mostly actually because Coldplay is just like chiller music. It was definitely a better ride to kind of get into it. There's like Clocks, Fix You, Viva La Vida. It's just good music, but it's a little bit chiller. I will say Ben ran this pretty much like a typical class of his, just the typical pushes. You could tell that he liked Coldplay, but he didn't really talk a lot about Coldplay or really at all, which I do like when the instructors have some fun facts about the artist, but no hard feelings. He did kind of organize it oh, this is, the part of the concert where the strobe lights are coming out, and this is part of the concert where everybody is, waving back and forth. And that was cool, but it's not he ever really talked about the band. And I do feel the band's been around for so long. There's definitely some fun facts that he could have worked in. But it was still a good ride, and it was enjoyable. And yeah, it just felt well structured. So if you want a well structured ride and you like Coldplay, you would love this ride. And even if you don't know Coldplay, I still think you'd like it because it's still a good classic Ben Aldis ride. Difficulty, I would give a 7 out of 10. I didn't think it was anything crazy. I also was not at the top of his callouts for everything, but I was usually in his callouts, and it felt like a good ride, but not a super hard ride. Enjoyability, I would give an 8 out of 10, maybe even a 9 out of 10. I mean, the music I just really like Coldplay, so it was so fun. Every single song, Coldplay has just been around for so long that, yeah, every single song is such a hit. And it was interesting because at one point Ben Aldis was like, oh, I wanted to do a 45-minute class. And they said, no, do a 30-minute. And I just love like any Peloton tea. Like, how did that conversation go? Why did they not want to do a 45-minute class? My guess is that 30-minute classes are just so much more popular. But I would have loved a 45-minute Coldplay class. They definitely have the music. So it's just always interesting, like, yeah, that he said that on that ride. Then we got into the Cody Rigsby ride, and he was playing some deep cuts of Black Eyed Peas. And I mean, like, I don't know. I feel like I'm not like a huge Black Eyed Peas fan, but I have listened to their album, so I knew every song that he played. But he did play some like less popular songs, and I don't think he played I Got a Feeling, because I think I would remember that. And I feel like that is a missed opportunity. I Got a Feeling is just a classic, but it was a fun ride. His ride was definitely more like, okay, we're like really gonna grind, and then like longer recoveries, and also a lot more higher resistance work. Like the majority of the work was high resistance, low cadence, which I do find that to be easier to get a higher output. I got a slightly higher output on the Cody Rigsby ride than the Ben Aldis ride, while the Cody Rigsby ride felt like it had a lot more recovery in it, just because when we were working, it was mostly high resistant work, which I find to be easier. I did like it. I do think it was better to have it second because I was already a little warmed up. So the high resistance work was a little easier to do. Like we were pushing, between 60 and 70 resistant. And then also Black Eyed Peas music is like club music. So I was a little more awake, a little more ready to grind. I do think that the Hannah Frankson Black Eyed Pea run is better. I'm sorry, Cody, you still brought a great class, but I just feel like the Hannah Frankson run was really, really good when I took it. And I feel like I had super high expectations because that was such a good run. And I feel like once you have high expectations, it's hard to beat. It was a good class though. I would definitely recommend it. This one, I feel like the music is a little more in your face. He also talked a little bit more about the Black Eyed Peas, which I like that. So enjoyability, I would give like a 8 out of 10. Difficulty, I would give like a 6.5 out of 10 just because you were working hard, but you also did get like long bouts of recovery. So although you were working hard, it felt like you had a lot of recovery to, like rest up and get ready for the next push. I probably would not recommend this to somebody that doesn't like the Black Eyed Peas because, it's definitely more Black Eyed Pea focused. But if you do, or you're just a casual fan, I think that you would really like it. And I feel like Cody was bringing it. He was in his usual good mood, and it was a fun class. Then I took the cool down ride and stretch, no notes there, pretty typical cool down rides and stretches. And then I was done. And there's only one Peloton in this gym. I have been fortunate that I've never had an issue when I booked a hotel that has said that they had a Peloton, that there was anything wrong with the Peloton or that somebody else was using the Peloton. I will say that I basically don't adjust to West Coast time when I'm here. So I was on the Peloton at like 4:55 a.m. and there was only one other person in the gym at that point. The gym was definitely getting like more crowded, probably around like 5:45 a.m. But at that point I was almost wrapping up my second class. So I didn't feel bad like taking the full hour on the Peloton. I do think that would be harder to do if I had started at like 6 a.m. that other people would have wanted to use it. But got in early, got out, no issues. I do ride with my sneakers here just because I only bring a carry-on. Like I don't want to bring my cycling shoes. I don't even know like if the Peloton will work, if I'll be able to ride it every day. So I feel like the sneakers with the toe cages is totally fine. And every hotel I've been at has had the toe cages. So overall, a good experience in this hotel with the Peloton and a good workout day. And that's it for today. I'm excited for some more music-focused classes tomorrow. It is now the next morning and we are ready to go with 2 more all-for-one rides. The first class I'm going to be doing today is the 30-minute Post Malone ride with Matt Wilpers from September 30th, 2024. And I love Matt and I love Post Malone. I'm not sure that I believe that Matt is a Post Malone fan, but we'll see. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. I do think that this will be a fairly technical class and less of a fun class. That's what I would expect from Matt, but it should be a good one. I do really like Post Malone music. I feel like I should know all the music. So I'm excited for that one. And then afterwards, and this might be a mistake, I'm going to do the 30-minute Billie Eilish ride by Olivia Amato from September 27th, 2024. I feel like this could be hard, but it could also be easy, and I really don't know. So we'll see. Again, I really like Billie Eilish music. Olivia Amado's not an instructor I usually gravitate towards on bike because I find that a lot of her callouts are like not attainable. So we'll see how this goes. It'll definitely be an interesting follow-up ride. And then I'm doing a 5-minute cooldown ride by Ben Aldis from October 3rd, 2024, and a 5-minute post-ride stretch by Just King from September 26th, 2024. So we got a good lineup today. And yeah, let's go hit the bike and knock out these 2 all-for-one classes. Okay, so first off, I stand corrected. Mount Wilpers acted like he really liked Post Malone. I honestly could not tell if he was sarcastic. He's like, oh, like, if you know me, I love Post Malone. Like, his music is in all of my rides, which I don't particularly recall, but like, he did seem to like Post Malone. So, jury's still out on that one, but it was like a good ride. You could tell he was passionate about Post Malone, which I thought was interesting. And yeah, it was structured very similar to like a normal Wilpers class. So we were definitely getting the work in. There was a lot of high cadence work, which I do kind of expect for him, but it was organized really well. So I didn't mind it. It's just like something different than what I usually do. But honestly, I probably need to work on the high cadence work the most. So I can't blame him for that. I feel like the music choices were good, but I do think there was one missed opportunity at the end. The last song, in my opinion, should be Congratulations by Post Malone, and it was not. I forget what it was. I know the second to last song was Better Now, and I'm like, oh, it's going to be Better Now, and then Congratulations, and this is going to be like the perfect wrap to the song. And yeah, he played something else and something obviously not memorable, but the class itself was good, like really no complaints. Basically, we did 2 blocks of work where we started off at a higher cadence and lower resistance, and then as we lowered our cadence, we raised the resistance, then we had a reset track, and we did the second block, which is like the same exact like structure. And yeah, it was a good class. I would say that I thought the energy was a little bit low. It's interesting because he didn't teach with anybody in the studio. All the other classes I took, I believe people were in the studio. And I do feel like that raises the energy. And I also think for like an all-for-one weekend, it's kind of weird to like not have people in the studio. This is supposed to be like a music festival. So, where are the people? I do think that it's hard to keep the energy up when it's only you. And also because I feel like Matt is like not like super hyper on his own. Like, I have no complaints with his energy levels, but I think with other people, it could have been even better. Enjoyability for that class, I would give like a 7 out of 10. I think it is less enjoyable because of the cadence work, but I do know that I need to do it. Difficulty, I would give also like a 7 out of 10. At the end of the day, like the cadence work is harder for me, but I feel like it was structured well. It was nice that basically every time we lowered the cadence, we got like a little bit of recovery there before we added more resistance. So it felt very manageable. Like at no point I was like, oh my gosh, this is too hard. And overall, I like how structured his classes are. I mean, I definitely gravitate towards instructors that structure classes like that, which now we'll get into the second class that I took with Olivia Amato. I know people like Olivia Amato, and I'm sorry because this is going to be some Olivia Amato absolute slander, but I just cannot stand her cycling classes, and I feel like it's so weird because I take her running classes and they're just like not like this. Like, in my opinion, her cycling classes are what it would be like if somebody was like, Emma, get on the bike, you're teaching a class. Like, it just feels like there's absolutely no preparation. She's, calling out random things. There's like not structure. A lot of times it'll be like, we did a push out of the saddle, we sat down, we recovered. Then we do like the same push out of the saddle, but then she's like, sit down and like keep the resistance and the cadence. So it's like not a recovery. And because I'm expecting a recovery, I was like obviously going hard in the push, and it's like, okay, now I can't sustain this. And that just like happens with me with her so much. And yeah, I just like do not enjoy that at all. I also feel like there's random speed pushes where, we'll be grinding for like 2 minutes at like 80 to 90 cadence at, 45 to 50 resistance. Like this is like not like a super hard push, but it is a push. And then she'll be like, okay, 110 cadence. And the thing with that is like, if you can do that, then you just weren't trying hard in like the 2 minute push we were already doing. Which, yeah, I don't know. I just like do not vibe with her teaching style. And it is a shame because I like her personality. Like, I love the music. You could tell she really liked Billy. She had some fun facts about Billy. Like, the class was enjoyable, but the class plan was not enjoyable. And yeah, I feel like that also demotivates me. Like, she calls out random crap and I just like ignore it then. But then I'm like not doing the pushes. I don't know. So difficulty, I don't even know what to give this. Like my output was not that high. Honestly, my output was lower today than both of my classes yesterday. For the Wilpers class, I think it's because it was like high cadence work. Olivia's class, it's because it's just like all over the place that it's hard to, do effective pushes in my opinion. But yeah, difficulty, like a 7.5 to 8 out of 10. If you actually did everything, it would probably be like a 9 out of 10. But yeah, I just like modify, and like if she just calls out random things with like no warning whatsoever, sometimes I don't do it. So it wasn't like super difficult for me, but yeah, it just feels like a throwaway class. And then enjoyability, I would give like a 6 out of 10. I mean, again, I love the content of the class, but I did not like the class plan at all. And I definitely need to approach it better because I just get demotivated and then I'm in a bad mood. But yeah, I need to take a break from Olivia Amato for a while now. I thought I could handle it. I cannot handle it. But overall, I mean, even a 6 out of 10 enjoyability class is like still a good class. Like I did enjoy getting on the bike and cycling today, and I do think the music classes are really fun. And Olivia had people in the studio, so the energy was really high. She was dressed so cute. We're not meant to be. We're just not cycling compatible. But a good day, and I'm ready to take 2 more classes tomorrow. It is now the next day, and it's the last day of riding the Peloton, sadly. But I am excited. I think we have a very fun all-for-one lineup today. To wrap up this video, we're going to be doing the 30-minute Bruno Mars ride by Sam Yo from September 29th, 2024. I really love Bruno Mars. I mean, another artist where it's like, you're going to know every single song. And, my mom really loves Sam Yo, so he also has a special place in my heart as well. I think it should be a really fun ride. I see there's people in the studio. Should be a good time. And then I'm going to wrap up with a 30-minute Calvin Harris ride by Robin Arzon from September 30th, 2024. I feel like I don't naturally gravitate towards Robin, but usually when I take her classes afterwards, I'm like, I should take more of her classes because she's just so like motivational. And I feel like I could use some motivation today. So that should be a fun one. And I mean, again, Calvin Harris, like he's been around forever. I should know all the songs. Then I'm going to do a 5-minute cooldown ride by Jess King from October 8th, 2024, and a 5-minute post-ride stretch by Tunde Onine from September 5th, 2024. And that will be a wrap. So let's go to the gym, hit the bike, and knock out these final classes. Definitely an interesting way to wrap up my all-for-one rides. I really had high hopes for the classes today, and I was just okay with Sam's, and I feel like Robin's was actually kind of actively bad, but we'll get into it. So my biggest issues with Sam's ride was that it was just too easy, and I'm surprised because I actually think that Sam is typically like sneaky hard. I feel like he is the king of add 2 to 3. Like he's constantly adding just a little bit of resistance where you think you can do it, and then all of a sudden you're like, going 80 cadence and doing 50 resistance. I will say the class was organized, which I can appreciate, and the first half was harder than the second half. Like when I started the first half, I was like, yeah, right, like this is going to be a good ride. But the second half, we just started having like incredibly a lot of recovery. Like we were taking like 3 minutes of recovery at a time and not doing a lot of pushes. The music was incredible. Like, I do love Bruno Mars, so the music was really good and Sam was in a good mood. But he also like didn't talk that much about Bruno Mars. Like, you could tell that he liked the music, but I didn't think that it was like anything super special. Like, oh my gosh, this artist series class was like so interesting. And then, yeah, I just didn't like the second half of the class that much because I feel like it was so easy. The first day when I did Ben and Cody's rides, I had 260 and 267 output. And then yesterday when I did Matt and Olivia's rides, I had 240 and 243 output. And today with Sam's ride, I had 243, and then Robin's ride, I had 222. So you can see that I'm like trending down. But I feel like for the most part, at least on Sam's ride, I was in what they were calling out. It was just like an easier ride with a lot of recovery, which I do think like not every ride needs to be the most difficult thing ever, but I would have liked a little more push in the second half just because I associate Sam Yo with kind of harder classes. So I thought it would be harder. For enjoyability, I'd give it like a 7 out of 10. It was really enjoyable. I do love Sam, but I do think that the enjoyability like decreases for me when I feel like I'm recovered and ready to go and we're still just like pedaling at, 80 to 100 cadence, 30 to 40 resistance. Difficulty, I would give like a 4 out of 10. I did not think that this class was that difficult at all. Pretty easy to follow along. Wide ranges, and yeah, we got a lot of recovery. So Sam's ride was not like amazing, but it wasn't bad. Robin's ride I kind of actively disliked. It was just very interesting because it's also just not what I expected from Robin. I do feel like a lot of my disappointment with Peloton classes is when I have expectations for something and then it like circumvents my expectations. So the issue I had with Robin's ride is kind of the same issue I had with Olivia's ride. I actually think Robin's ride was worse. It feels like if someone was like, Emma, get on the bike and teach a class, it was just all over the place. First off, we got incredibly a lot of recovery. My Strive score for Robin's class was incredibly low compared to all the other classes that I've taken this week. And yeah, that's just because there was so much recovery. Also, the recovery was like 20 to 30 resistance and 95 to 105 cadence, which that's just like not my preferred recovery, but we had like several minutes of it. At one point we were doing pushes out of the saddle, which were quite hard. Like my issue with Robin too is like when we did do the pushes, they were really hard. It was like, 80 to 90 cadence and then 50 to 60 resistance, like 1 minute out of the saddle. But she was like, these are going to be literally like our only pushes the entire class. And it was at like the 15-minute mark. So it just like really was not my vibe. Like a lot of recovery. And then when we did do the pushes were quite hard, which I guess makes sense because you had so much recovery, but it's just not my style. She also obviously was like very into Calvin Harris and like was singing along. But again, like she didn't talk about Calvin Harris at all. The only interesting thing that I thought she said in this class was that when Peloton like first started out, Calvin Harris was putting out music and she had like reached out to the Sony team to like throw an album release party. And this was like, before Peloton had a lot of resources, like before the pandemic, Peloton was a really small and scrappy team and that Calvin Harris's team agreed to it. So that was definitely cool. And like, I love when there's like little bits of Peloton lore because I was not around during that era of Peloton. But besides that, like she didn't really talk about Calvin Harris at all. Again, you could definitely tell she liked the music. She did play a lot of his popular songs, but she also played like more of his like DJ songs too. And yeah, I only know the popular songs. I'm a fake Calvin Harris fan, but the DJ songs were not bad. It's just like, I don't know them. And then we were also like doing recovery to them for like 4 minutes long. Definitely one of my least favorite classes I took out of this week. And again, I'm just like surprised because usually I like Robin's classes. There wasn't like a lot of motivation in this one either, which I feel like that's usually what I associate with her. But yeah, difficulty, I would give like a 6 out of 10 just because I feel like the recovery sessions, like sometimes I did other things during them, like I didn't always listen, but a lot of the recovery sessions were like really fast cadence, which I do think is more difficult than like a slower cadence. Enjoyability, I would give like a 4 out of 10. I really did not enjoy this one. I wouldn't recommend it unless you like Calvin Harris or you're like looking for an easy ride. In the middle of the class, she's like, every ride doesn't need to grind you down, which I do agree with, but yeah, it just like did not meet my expectations. But to end on a high note, my favorite class of the week was definitely the Ben Aldis Coldplay ride. I mean, not really a surprise. Ben Aldis is one of my favorite cycling instructors. he's my boy. He can never do me wrong. And I did love Coldplay. So if you're going to take one of the classes that I took, I would highly recommend the Coldplay ride. So that is it for this video. Let me know if you've taken any other All for One classes that you've liked. I definitely want to take some on the tread still and some strength, but I think I'm done with the bike. There was nothing else that was really sticking out to me, unless if anyone has any good recommendations. I hope you guys are staying safe, having an awesome week, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.